All right, what is up, guys and gals? This is the Beyond the River podcast with your host, Tyler Olrogue. That's at T.O. the Man on Instagram, and of course, Beyond the River on Facebook. So I'm here with my dad, Rex, and my brother, Garrett. We're taking a look back at 2018. The year just switched a few days ago, and I'm very happy that 2018 is over. It was definitely a very rough year for me. I know Dad got to see that a little bit more than you did, Garrett, because you were at school. But probably the best thing that came out of 2018 was probably Beyond the River. It was funny, even when we just fished the other day. That's where I caught my first ever double. Where Garrett's like, "Oh my God, there's a huge fish," and I'm like fighting it, and it's like I'm like, what's wrong with him? Like, it's not but he had saw both fish flash at the same time, so it looked like this 20-inch fish. But I actually had one on the top fly, one on the bottom fly. But it's funny that we fished there because we fished there the day after. I got home, which was probably one of the single worst days of my life, and just the amount of impact that fishing has had on us, and I think probably us as a family. I think the three of us have definitely gotten really close because of fishing. Garrett and I have fished twice already in 2019.
Didn't he perfect his camel crawl at that time?
No, that was a different time where he's talking about he's wearing this bright purple shirt and he's on his hands and knees crawling, and I'm like, you're an idiot. You're wearing a purple shirt, like they can easily see that.
I caught a fish though, so I just want to say that it worked.
And then I have him on camera. He's going, "Look at this beautiful rainbow," and I'm like, "It's a brown." But fishing has brought the family closer. It's something we do, and Dad has actually made us these books each year. This is last year's book. This is
the best one.
First ever book. Yeah, I'm on the cover for both of the first two, and then Garrett finally made the cover this year.
I had to give it to him.
He caught a really nice brown this year. Probably one of our favorite trips every year. And but Garrett and I have talked about it, and we really love these books. This is one of our most look forward to gifts every year.
This is my favorite present every year.
We love everything that we get for Christmas, but we look forward to these. It's a nice reflection of the year. But yeah, Garrett made the cover this year.
With my biggest fish ever.
Dad broke the news to me. I was a little bummed. No, I was happy for you. That's a great fish, and definitely deserving of the cover.
Still haven't broken 20 though, unfortunately.
Yeah,
hopefully this year. He
said he measured it on his arms. It was 19 3/4, so he still hasn't hit that 20-inch mark. Which I truthfully don't know if I've hit the 20-inch mark myself, because I don't actually put the tape to fish a lot. Mm-hmm. But definitely a lot of fish in 2018, and everything that went on. We fished a lot. And
well, not a lot. But
I fished a lot.
I didn't fish a ton. I fished a lot, but not as much as you.
I don't know.
We fished a lot. I know we fished. Me, Garrett, and I fished a lot in the summer because we had off and stuff. But so I want to go through some of the things in the book, and then some of my own top moments. Can I just take a look at the book? So I wrote on the blog. Probably my third was steelheading this past fall. I thought it was funny having grown up here. We live 3 miles away from one of the best rivers in Steelhead Alley, and I'm now 2.5 hours away, and this is the most I've steelhead fished this season. So it was a lot of car rides, back and forth, but it's definitely something that I feel like we have struggled with before. Yeah, and Garrett caught a nice big one.
My fourth and fifth steelhead ever.
Fourth and fifth, yeah.
It's a big steelhead for somebody who doesn't like the steelhead fish.
That was gorgeous. I was pumped. I was actually. It's funny because I was like, we switched rods, and I was rigging up a fly. That's actually one of the smaller ones I've gotten, surprisingly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just. That's how good the season was.
That was a nice one too.
The salmon that you got, or the steelhead. Yeah.
No, the salmon was pretty raunchy.
Yeah, well, salmon are raunchy, but we had a good day, and then Dad and I went back to the same place, and Dad was using what I thought was going to be this oversized egg pattern, and I'm in my head, I'm like, there's no way in hell he's going to catch a fish on that. Next thing you know, it's boof. and we net it, and he was using a 10 weight, so like the fight wasn't even like fair.
They fought pretty good.
They fought good, but like you just see this fish get ripped out of the water.
Well, I pulled them out of the hole, so
and it's just, and I'm like, and then like a few minutes, like I was taking my time, I was running downstream. Dad was cold, his feet were cold. He was standing. All of a sudden, I hooked up, and he runs downstream. But Dad takes off running to net the fish, and it warmed up his feet. But you know, we had some good days. You know, I fished a lot with Cody. And some other guys down. Cody's a hoot, you know, he's funny.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fun. Definitely one of my favorite people to fish with other than you guys. So steelheading was great other than the people.
Yeah.
People tend to suck when it comes to steelhead. You know, I think I run into the most. We call them boofers. That's a Cody word. But just people that are kind of negative around the fishing scene. You tend to run into them a lot during steelhead, and especially salmon fishing. But we did, you know, we both had days where we avoided that and got into this really nice fish. So number 2 on my list that I talked about was the Big River Brownies, which is our annual trip now, because we used to do the Salmon River trip.
Yeah.
But now we do because Garrett and I are now in school, we do the Delaware River trip in the spring. Usually it was after you got out because I was already done. Mm-hmm. But that's where he caught the fish on the cover, that nice big brownie.
There's a bunch of nice fish.
And, well, so let's see. The first year we fished, it was like 400 CFS.
Yep.
And I went back a few months later, and it was like 800. 800 750 is ideal. I think because I know Dan did really well when we fished 750. I did well.
That was for a fly comp.
Yeah. And
I didn't do as well that year. I got my cut.
But that was when we fished for 400. I fished this. Went back in August, fished at 750.
Yeah, but you killed. You had like what, 18 fish or something like that.
No, never. Dan caught 18 fish on the Delaware. Yeah. But we went. We were what? 12. It was 1400, and then it was the lowest we got to fish was 11, right?
Well, yeah. The last day they dropped it, it was below 900.
Okay, so we fished. We fish high flows, and especially like I don't have an issue waiting because I'm so lengthy and stuff. But
I'm short and fat, so I tend to start floating away if I get in too deep.
But I think overall, we weren't allowed to fish a lot of spots, which kind of stunk. We were kind of limited to fishing the same stuff, and we were kind of Garrett. We were all kind of zonked out. It had been a long spring school year, and we were sleeping in till like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, normally we're out at before sunrise.
Before sunrise.
And we didn't leave till 9:30, 10 o'clock.
I remember, it was sun up, sundown every day last year. And then this past year, we were like showing up. But it was, the water was high. We were fishing kind of the same water. But I think we did well.
Yeah.
We did really well.
Well, I mean, when he went to go take a nap, I caught like 6 fish and 8 casts. I wasn't too bad.
I was tired of battling the Canada goose who got between me and you.
Yeah.
And at that point, I didn't want to get bit, and my back was killing me. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going back.
And you broke your rod.
And I broke my rod. So I drive 20 minutes back in the muddy dirt roads, and then the phone rings, and he says, "Hey, you want to come back?" He just caught 4.
Yeah.
At the place I was headed.
And little do you know, 2 minutes after we called him, I caught this fish on the cover here, and 2 more casts.
Yeah. How'd you break your rod?
Well, we got there late on the first day. We left the house probably 7 o'clock. 4-hour drive. We get there. We fish for 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
So we decided to eat lunch right at the parking spot, and put the cooler out. We're sitting on the back of the van, and made my sandwich, and I sat down, and I can only describe it as I heard a snap, and I instantly knew that I sat on my 14-foot rod. And Garrett and Tyler goes, "What was that?" I said, "I just snapped my rod." So I snapped, a foot off the base of the rod.
Yep.
So I was still able to use it, but it didn't fit together real well. I crammed the 2 butt sections together, and so later on I was fishing with it on the beaver kill, and it broke. And Tyler was hysterical.
It was because I thought he broke it a second time, which personally, if it would have happened to me, I would have been pissed. So but like it made this loud cracking noise, like just like. I thought he broke it a second time, but like personally, I would have been pissed, which is why I turned. I turned away so he couldn't see me laughing, but my body was convulsing
shaking
because I thought it was so. I couldn't stop. I was just tears pouring down my face because I was just hysterical. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he did it twice."
Meanwhile, I'm downstream catching the first couple fish of the trip, and I'm looking up and I'm seeing Tyler shaking. I think he's having a seizure, and Dad's whipping his rod around.
And it's funny you bring that up because I was thinking, we talked a little bit about goals, and we'll get into that later for 2019. But Garrett signed up for comps this year. I'm excited for you to fish a few comps with me. But that was one of those things where I've been thinking, I still think I'm probably going to get you in a few comps. But my big thing is I think Garrett has a chance to really take me in the comps where the fishing's rough. And I think because you beat the crap out of this. But think about the beaver kill. Think about how many times me and you fished through that.
Yep.
And like your drifts weren't terrible. My drifts definitely weren't terrible. Mm-hmm. And I didn't touch anything, and I must have ran up through there 4 or 5 times. And Garrett's just sitting there, nice, steady,
pounding the
water. And in my head, I'm like, he's just doing the same thing over and over, which is the definition of insanity, by the way.
It's repeating things over and over.
Yeah, but think of it. Think
of
it this way: the fish gets so annoyed at seeing that come by, it finally has to eat it.
Well, what happens is I hit him in the face with it so many times. They finally just like, I gotta eat it.
No, but it worked because you caught one, and then you worked up. You caught another, and then you worked up. I think you caught 3 total out of there, and there were some decent fish too.
14
yeah, and
that's not bad for the beaver kill.
Exactly, and we I went through there how many times and didn't move the fish, and so like that's where I think you're going to excel in comps. And even when we did that other trip, you stood in that one spot for like an hour.
An hour, like 2 hours.
Yeah, and he just kept hitting fish. I mean, it probably was because I think you're going to be a little slow in some sessions, but I think that's going to help you in some sessions.
Yeah. I definitely think when the only problem is going to be the time limit. Because I'm only going to get a certain amount of time, and I can't dump all my time in that one spot.
I agree.
You got to pace yourself.
But there's some of those sessions where it takes 4 fish to win. I've fished in a few of those, and I caught 2. I hooked 4, lost 2, but. Where it took 4, and even on some of the rivers where it takes high numbers, I know Dan took a couple ones. A couple of my buddies took a couple ones with 4 fish. So some of those sessions are just grind. Even Pat Weiss, I think he won one session with 6, or he tied. There was I think it was a 3-way tie for the one, and it went to fish points, and it was 6 fish, which is not a lot when you're thinking about the previous year. It took 60-some fish to win the whole thing, so you're catching about 17 fish per session. So I think that's where you're going to excel. It
just depends on the beat you get, and then you just have to pace yourself. And there's certain spots you're going to have to skip through, go fast, and then if you get time, go back because you got to go where the covers.
Suck at keeping fish stuck though.
Yeah,
I'm not very. Well, good at
it's a practice thing. We'll get into it when we get into it next. Where my number one is when we went to the Adirondacks. The dad unfortunately had to work. We were there. We were gone 4 days.
Yeah.
It was 5. We fished 5 rivers and 4 days, 3 nights, and we stayed in a tent the first 2 days, and then we.
It might have been 5 days.
No, it was 4.
Because we spent
a whole day driving.
Yeah, well, we spent a whole day driving. I don't think I counted that.
I think we spent 3 nights in the tent. And then
no, it was only 2. I don't remember.
The first day, remember, you left about 10 and you
drove
up
right.
there.
We did 2 nights.
It was all rain.
One night in a motel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we fished the Adirondacks, and it was good. The river was about 300 CFS for a couple of weeks, which is normal. It was a 7.5 hour drive. It rained the entire way. Poured. And it was thunderstorm, right? Because we were going up the one highway. It was thunderstorming. We get there, the river's at 2,000 CFS, and we set the tent up in the rain. Luckily, we didn't do bad because the floor was a little wet.
But we had cots.
So we were up off the ground, which was nice. We just kind of put a plastic bag down, and we were good there. So, but we wake up, we still fished it because we drove all that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we caught anything the first day, do we?
No.
No. We just kind of hit the banks hard, fishing because it's as it is. It's a heavy river as it is when it's normal flows because of the gradient.
It's ripping,
Ripping, pocket water, stuff like that. So we fished the banks, didn't catch anything, didn't move anything really. Mm-hmm. Talked to some of the fly shops. I think we tried streamers too the first day.
Yeah, one of the fly shops suggested throwing meat, ripping it through the pockets, just swinging it through. And we tried that for a while, but
that didn't work either.
Yeah.
The next day, it was a little clearer. It was still high, right? But it was clear.
It was stained. It was like a weird color. It wasn't like mud, but it was.
It's like those tannin streams.
Yeah. Tea stain.
Tea stain colored. Yeah. And I don't think I hit anything in the morning. I think it wasn't until like almost lunchtime where I finally caught one.
Yeah.
And I finally caught one, which was kind of shocking. Finally caught one, and then we moved a few more, and then we moved spots a bunch of times, and I think I only moved one more. I threw like a 50-foot cast, like a 50-foot cast, which was pretty far, and I was fishing a Vladdy-worm, so a very heavy Vladdy-worm, and I was using like 3.5 millimeter tungsten beads for my top fly.
Yeah.
Like we were using heavy flies to get down, and then if I moved one on the log, and I don't think you had touched a fish.
I had one,
and
I saw a couple in that one spot where it was a lot of the boulders.
Yeah,
I could see a bunch of fish in there. I just couldn't get them to bite anything.
Yeah, so we saw fish. It wasn't what we had anticipated, and it was going to be a grind to probably fish that for 2 or 3 more days.
Yeah,
because we only fished half a day. Next day, we fished a day and a half total, I think.
Yeah,
there.
And then we went to West Canada.
Yeah, and then we moved. And that was good. That's where we ate the hamburgers.
Yeah.
That was so it was a road trip. We were in the camp. We were in the tents. We did the camping. We ate hot dogs the first 2 nights.
Yeah.
And then we were roadside with this little portable grill, and we cooked. We ran out of ice is what we did, so that hamburgers were going to go bad. So we had a box of 8 hamburgers, and we cooked them all. And we ended up eating all of them too, but we were basically on the side of the road, and people are honking at us. They're seeing the smoke go in the air, and they're honking at us. We're having a good time, and they were cheeseburgers too. Yeah, we had cheeseburgers, and we were mixing the ketchup and the Miracle Whip, and it was like a secret sauce. And oh boy, were those good!
It was wonderful. Best hamburgers I've ever eaten.
We were hungry, and then that was. We hadn't showered till that point.
Nope, we stunk.
And that river was high because the one spot it was a flat, and then the riffle was all over here. It was this deep flat, and the riffle came down, and all the fish were right in the riffle. But I was up to here, to get to the riffle. Garrett couldn't get in close because he wasn't big enough.
Yeah, he's not tall enough.
And I remember I hooked that one fish, and he took me down. I stepped down and filled my waders, but there was no movement in the water, so I could just kind of swim back. But which reminds me of that comp I fished too, where I took a dip. Yeah, so I'll switch to that quick. Where I was in until Garrett comes back, and I was mid comp, and my friend Calvin was controlling me, and the water was already high. I'd already taken a few spills because of it must be my boots must not have had studs at that point.
The studs came out. I don't know why.
Yeah, so I didn't have studs, and the water was already slippery, and I hooked this nice fish mid-comp, and I stepped down, and I just went in completely to my neck, and then swam back out. So that was kind of a situation that we ran into there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as bad because I wasn't floating downstream.
Well, it was not moving very much. You got up to the very tip top of your waders, and you kind of had your arm way up here, and you're kind of going like this. Yep. Meanwhile, I went up and around. I crossed, and I was I was ripping a streamer through for a little bit.
At the end there. Yep. So then the next day, we fished 2 more streams. The morning was rough. We had a rough morning, because we moved we caught one fish in the morning.
Yeah, that big, you caught like a 17, 18 inch
brown. But that was the only fish we touched.
Yeah.
And like it was nice water, and we could not find fish except for the one. And then we ate lunch, and we went downstream, and we split. And it was funny because you had left, and then I started hitting fish, and I caught another nice one. And I'm like, he's going to hate me. I hope he caught something. And, you know, I thought you were downstream, hadn't caught anything. And then we met up, and I'm like, I just caught 8 fish. You're like, I did the same. And I'm like, sweet.
I literally got to one spot, and I literally fished, cast after cast, I was catching fish.
Yep, same. And that happened at the same time, and then we grouped up. We worked up through. That was where there was pallets sunk in the water. I don't know what that was about, but the pallets, and then there was like this big tree that came through the center of that pool and catch them off the other side. And you're like, you're not gonna be able to get it out of there if you hook one. And then I hooked one and I got him out of there.
Yeah.
I think I lost one in there too, but
it wasn't very big.
No, it wasn't big.
We ripped it out of there, but it wasn't very big.
But yeah, and then the next day was the comp, and that's what we had practiced before we had taken the trip, where we spent 2 days there practicing. I had a chance to fish all the beats. I think you guys fished all the beats too.
And it was hot, very hot.
It was very hot, yeah.
Like 96 degrees.
And you know, we did well when we pre-fished.
We did really well.
We did really well.
Oh yeah, every day we got way over 50 fish.
Yeah, that was a good trip. It was definitely good practice. It didn't fish that well during the comp. It fished good.
Yeah.
And it was nice, you know, because I spent the 2 beats that I drew. Because I ended up winning the comp, which was a great way to end the trip. You know, it was on the road.
I'm taking credit for that.
Yeah, he still takes, because apparently I've only won when he's been there.
Yeah.
Which is true, because he's only ever been to that one. But
yeah, I'm the best.
But I was prepared, and I was lucky with my beat draw for sure. You know, I probably drew the 2 best beats.
Because the year before, the beat draws were horrible.
Well, the one beat I drew was bad. The other one was good. I mean, the thing about those beats is they all have the numbers. There's always going to be some better beats.
Well, that first beat is not great.
Yeah, well, that's the worst beat.
That's the worst beat in the hole.
There's one good hole, and there's always some boofer there.
Yeah. I mean, but that happens. Like, you can't help it. But I was fortunate with good draw, and then I connected. I fished well, too, because I know I caught more. Except for my first session, I lost a bunch of fish that I should have caught. But especially my second session, I caught more on that beat than anyone else did. Yeah. And I fished third on that. It was with 2 people I fished before me. I think one guy fished after me.
But you're catching them different spots.
Different spots, and because I talked to him, and everyone caught him at the top. And I had 13 fish with 55 minutes to go, and I'm in my head like, I'm about to catch 30. Like, not 30, but like 25. Like, you think you're going to do just as well in the second half. And then the 55 minutes went by, and I caught 1 fish in the rest of the time.
We lost 2 or 3 more, didn't you?
I lost, 2 more.
One really good
one. Was like a 20-inch fish. It was a nice fish, because I turned around, and Kelvin, his eyes are wide. I'm like, you saw that fish, right? He's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, dang. But, I mean, 6X tippet, like, that's what you expect. And he went right for that log. But first session...
That's why he's 20 inches long.
First session, I struggled.
Yeah.
For the first probably hour...
You didn't pace yourself good.
No. But, like, when I had practiced, I caught all my fish at the bottom. Because we split up. That's the first place we fished. You fished the middle, Dad fished the top. And I spent a lot of time at the bottom. So I was confident with the bottom. And, you know, I expected there to be more. And for some reason, when I practiced with a 1 fly rig. And for some reason, I started with a 2 fly rig during the comp.
Yeah, that one spot, the upper part, if you went with a 1 fly rig because of all the stacked rocks.
Yeah, well, the pockets.
Yeah, there's a lot of little pockets and little holes. And if you did 2, you got snagged or foul hooked.
Or the drag messes your drift.
Yeah, so.
But I don't know why I did that. And it was in my head, looking back, I'm like, wow, that was dumb. And we talked about it afterwards, was the time management. But I think dumber than that was the 2 fly rig. And I don't know why. And then I was like, I finally would switch flies, and then I'd catch 1 or 2 fish quickly. And then I'd be like, oh, I got it now. I'm dialed in. And then it would go blank.
I don't think it was so much the 2 flies that did it, because you're still catching fish on the 2 flies. You caught 2 fish pretty quick on
Yeah, but you got to think I caught, what, 6 fish.
But you also, what happened was you missed one fish, and then you stayed with that fish for quite a longer than you usually do.
True. But so I had 6 fish with probably 45 minutes left. I finished with 13. I switched to the 1 fly, and it was a 2.8 bead versus a 2.5, which I think I was previously using. And it made all the difference. Where I probably hooked, I bet you I hooked 20 fish in the last 45 minutes. But I only caught 7 of them. And 2 big ones right at the end.
Yeah.
Where the one, I had them on, I'm like, oh, that's, because I had all small ones, and size matters to an extent. But it boosts your average. And I scooped him, and I remember coming up thinking I had the fish in the net, because it wasn't on my line anymore. I thought he was in the net, because like I just felt like, it's the wide hoop net, I thought I was around him. And I came up and he was not in the net, and he was not on the line either, and I lost him. But I ended up taking a 2. I didn't get the 1 that session, but I took the 1 the second session, got 3 points, and 1 with 3.
That spot I hooked a 6-pound carp down there.
That was below that.
Oh, below that?
That was just
below that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that on a what, 4-weight fly rod?
Yeah.
That was scary, because I thought he was going to break the rod off.
Yeah, I don't think
he just went nuts.
I don't think anyone caught carp during the comp.
Yeah.
At least that we heard.
I wasn't trying to catch him, but I caught him.
But yeah, that was definitely that was fun. 5 days or 4 days on the road. Definitely would love to do it again. Hopefully, Dad can come along next time. But the cool thing about that comp was that was my first comp ever. The year before, and I lost. And then a year later, I won with a little help from the draw and stuff. But definitely, you could just see how far
the practice,
and I've definitely learned a lot since, and even just fishing a lot in the past 2 years.
The first year, in your first year,
that comp,
yeah.
I lost.
Your last,
I was dead last.
That's funny. Your average is about half now.
Well, he spent a lot of time in the trees because he was high sticking, and he kept having to cut flies off and retie stuff because he's 6'4" and he's got a 11-foot rod, and he would pull it out, and he'd be up in the trees.
You didn't use your 11-foot rod. You use a 10-foot rod.
10 foot.
But you're only.
The big thing was awareness. My first comp is I wasn't aware of the trees.
The trees and all the other.
Now stuff. Before I go into those situations, I look around, and I still even yesterday, I caught the tree and snapped off 3 times in a row. But I was just trying to put it in a tight situation there. But the awareness, it's just stuff that you pick up where you're looking around, like you check that tree, and all of a sudden, you're setting low rather than going, high.
10 seconds worth of looking is better than 3 minutes of time
tying stuff on, or completely retying your leader, so and getting more efficient at knots and stuff like that. But definitely a lot to learn, especially in 2018, 2017, 2018. So I mean, you got some bass photos in here. I actually caught. No, I lost my biggest bass in the year. Where we were fishing with Bumpa, and we were in the boat, and I hooked a 20-inch bass. Yeah. Probably. It was probably 20. But it came in slow.
It didn't. It looked like
and I usually go for the net because you guys are normally the ones catching the bass. So I normally go for the net, and Garrett's still fishing. I'm like, grab the net. He's like, it's not that big, and then it surfaces, and it's like mouth
was like this big.
That.
The big old ones don't move like.
Well, it was also a cold day.
It was cold. Yeah, it was cold.
It was cold. They don't move and he hooked it in this shallow water next to some very deep water, which we probably should assume then that it was big if it was next to deep water like that. But we figured the bigger ones would be in the deeper water, being so cold. Yeah. But he sets the hook on this thing. He's reeling it in, and it's not really fighting at all. He's basically just dragging it in. But then it comes up for a jump, and it comes up with that big mouth. I'm like, it scared the crap out of me because I finally noticed that it was very big. But as soon as I grabbed the net, it was off. So
it just spits the hook right at the surface, and there goes my hearts and dreams. But I caught a nice 13-inch bass, which is not huge, but he was plump. He's probably 3 pounds.
Yeah, but you caught the jig was too big for the fish. The jig was just the jig filled up the thing's
It was
mouth.
like 8 inches.
Yeah. No, it was 10, 11, but the jig you're using was
no. The jig was 8 inches.
Yeah.
We had fun because we went up like 3 times in the fall, and we were throwing frogs in the lily pads, and those things would just come up and explode, and you'd miss. Oh. You just miss like I mean, he missed literally 20 fish in half an hour.
Probably
and they would just pound the top of the water, and they'd come up, and you could see them like take the frog, but you could never get the hook because your reaction is to set the hook, and you basically pull it out of their mouth because they hit it, and they haven't engulfed it yet, and they take it down, and it actually scares the crap out of you because the jig's sitting there, and they just explode out of the water to get it.
I loved a couple times when I was reeling it through the things, you could see the lily pads moving out of the way as the bass is coming in. I'm reeling, I'm like, oh crap, here comes one. You can see the lily pads going, all of a sudden he'd hit up and smack it.
Yep.
And a couple of the fish I caught on frogs this year were that way, and it was a lot of fun. But one a little bit more, the only thing more exciting we did this summer is we spent one night fishing, and we threw mice for brown trout.
Yeah, that's what that reminded me of. And I completely forgot that we did that.
And it was intense. You can't really see much of what's going on, but when the silence of the night and you're just tossing across, and it's just kind of monotonous at first, but when you finally get one to hit, it goes from completely silent to the water just erupts with fish, and you feel the tug, scares the crap out of you, and your heart starts beating like crazy.
Yeah. Well, before that happened, and what we were doing is you were fishing the mouse. Because I first, even when you had a hit, it was so, it was dead at night and it was silent. And it was so loud that my heart started racing for him. Because I was fishing a streamer, because we had heard streamers and mice both work well at night. So I was fishing the streamer, you were fishing the mouse, we were going to see which one worked. You finally got the hit on the mouse, and we freaked. But before that, we were standing there,
my God.
and all of a sudden we hear this just whack on the water.
Yeah.
And we thought it was one of them hitting one of our things, and then we realized that there was a beaver dam right across from us, and it was a beaver smacking his tail on the water.
Not so happy with us, yeah.
And I was like, and we still threw a few more casts in there, and I was like, Garrett, I don't really want to be standing here in the dark if there's an angry beaver swimming around here. So we moved up, and then we got the first hit, and then you had a few hits on the mouse. I switched, and then I got a few hits on the mice, and it's insane.
I had one on for a little bit.
Yeah, but just a second. Yeah,
but more than a second. I battled him for a couple, not any longer.
Probably 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah, 3 or 4 seconds, but enough to feel. He wasn't very big. We'll give him that, but I had him on.
Well, those were big mice.
Yeah,
and I tied smaller ones. Because I know we're definitely gonna do it again
on the Delaware,
and that was fun. But I went again when I was in Pennsylvania, and I had some good hits. I actually had one sip it like a dry fly, where it came up and just, and next thing you know, you saw it when you see the dry fly just bloop under. That's all that happened. And I probably trout set on it, to be honest, and I had them on for the same thing, a couple seconds, and they came off, and then. You get in your head in the dark and you think you hear things because everyone's a little creeped out by the dark. And I had one because I was swinging down across this current, and I thought I heard something upstream, and I'm like, whoa, out of my hands, and I'm like, well, I just missed a trout because he hit it that hard, and all I would have had to do was just strip that, and I'm sure I would have had him because it was perfectly downstream of me. And I probably would have set it right into his mouth, but I just took the line right out of my hands because I was looking upstream. But I mean, that's when it happens when you're not expecting it, especially in the dark. And how many fish stories go you got away because you weren't ready, or hunting stories, or where he's scratching his butt in a tree and deer ground blind. Well, the turkeys are in front of him.
Yeah,
just crazy, dumb stuff like that.
The one thing going back to bass. We're bass fishing, and Garrett went to pull his line out, and I don't know the exact size, but we have a 40-inch ruler on the side of the boat, and he hooked a muskie. It had to be at least 50 inches long.
Well, before that,
and he had a Shimano medium heavy rod, and it was bent in half.
It was a medium light rod. Medium light. It wasn't medium
That's
heavy.
not a medium heavy. Well, it's a Shimano rod. It's made for bass.
Yeah.
And he had it bent in half, and he's like, it's a bass. And I'm looking at the rod, and I'm seeing him struggle to pull this thing off. And I happen to forget the net.
The one day we forget the net.
And he says, it's coming up. And I go to reach over the side of the boat because I'm going to lip it. and this muskie comes out of the water, about clips me in the side of the head, and he spits the hook. So if I'd have stuck my hand in the water, I'd have probably needed about 40 stitches because he'd have raked me or stuck me with a hook.
So if this is the side of the boat, my dad's here. His face is right here to get down and try and grab this fish. And this fish, I can feel it coming up, so I tell him, and when it jumps out of the water, all I see from the side is this fish going straight for him. Like, his face is here, and the fish came out of the water right here, and it's going straight for him, and the last second it hit the boat here, and the hook
thud.
The hook was right here in the front of the mouth, and the hook hit the side of the thing and popped the hook out, and it goes back under, and I watch it just swim away.
When you battle that thing for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was
well, and then a couple weeks later,
insane.
I actually had that rod out, and it cracked in half. He must have stressed it too much, and the rod actually broke in half from fighting that fish. But
first time I'm hearing this.
if we would have landed that would have been a massive muskie.
Well, it's funny because Bumpa caught that muskie this year too, and he caught it on this spoon that was like that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't 50 inches. It wasn't.
Well, he was using you were using
I was using a soft
bait,
a UV beaver.
Yeah, because Bumpa and I are out there just tooling around because Bumpa just enjoys being out there, tooling around his little boat, and just like we do. Mm-hmm. But next thing you know, he's bent over, and we had a net, and we netted it, and then he loses his hemostats, his pliers.
Oh yeah.
And he still tells that story. Damn thing cost me some pliers. And I think it got him too. The tooth. Yeah.
They're nasty.
But yeah,
they're just nasty.
They're nasty fishing, and I got to shock them too. That was fun. Yeah. For class.
Oh yeah, you got some big ones shocking. Man.
Yeah, we got some big ones shocking and some smaller ones, but we got some big ones. It was fun. I missed one with a net. I don't want to talk about that, but like things shot straight up, and I had to just react to try to catch the thing. And
they just freak out.
They freak out. They miss. But yeah, 2018 was a great year. So I want to do goals for 2019. Garrett and I talked about this a little bit. I want to do fishing goals. My own fishing goals. One is I want to fill my fly box. That's always been a struggle, and seeing my new teammates, I'm excited about the new team. I think the new teammates. I still have my old teammates because they kind of came over with me.
So tell them about the new team you formed.
Well, I don't know how much I can. I think it's fine now to talk about it. But we had part of my old team. And this other team, we had some inactive members, so we came together with the active members and formed a new team. It's called Confluence. The confluence of these two teams.
This is for comps.
This is for fly fishing competitions, yeah, which is something I've done the last 2 years. This will be my third season, and Garrett's going to join us this year. It's going to be his first season.
Not on a team.
No, he's not on a team, but he's going to fish a couple comps. Yeah. Maybe one day he'll be on the team.
If I get better.
Yeah, well, one of the ways to get better is being on the team. Like I've definitely grown by fishing with Rich, Dan, Tracy, Woody, Cody, and them guys. But so, I'm excited to fish with them. We now have 13 to 15 members. I don't know exactly who it is. I think it's 13, which is bigger than what we had before. Some of the guys are from the team that won the cup race this past season. They're great anglers. One of them's on Team USA. Two of them are previous USA youth, and then everyone is. A couple of the other guys are very close. But a lot of good anglers. I'm excited to fish with them because I think it's going to make me better just fishing with them, and maybe hopefully be on their team. A few in the comps. Hopefully, I'll be able to fish with them as the team, or we'll run multiple teams per comp. But we're definitely going to communicate information. So I'm excited to fish with them. But they all have these prestigiously organized fly boxes filled with flies, especially Rich and Tracy. They were really great fly tires. And I was looking at Tracy's box, and I was just like, wow, this is what I want my box to look like. Just rows and rows of flies, organized. And I'm getting better. I've tied probably close to 100 now flies since then. I lost a few. But
talk about that.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. But so I want to fill my fly box. I want to fish with more people. And that also goes with my team. Is I think fishing with different people. I think the best thing about the sport is that everybody has something to offer. Like I said, you with your patience, you know, I think something I admire about Dad's fishing is just the joy of the entire experience. You know, not so much as catching fish.
Oh, we're supposed to catch fish? I didn't realize that.
He's very good at taking things that I think will never ever catch fish, and catches fish with them quite regular.
Yeah, but I just use a few basic flies. I don't go crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes the way you rig things and the way you do things, there is no way in heck that's going to catch. So he always catches a fish.
Number one, with those sausages, and it gets cold, I'm not tying flies on. So I find something that I can put on there that's universal, and if there's a fish going to hit it, he's going to hit it. And the ones that don't want to hit it, well, guess what? I don't really care about them.
But I think something that could elevate my game is one, you know, being more patient at times, you know, sticking to the thing, you know, two, overall enjoying the experience more. I think sometimes, not always, and I have gotten great at enjoying the experience. You know, I got really hyped when Garrett caught those steelhead, and, you know, netting fish for you, and just stepping back and enjoying everything that's going on. It makes the experience better. You know, that's something I admire and that I want to do more and more. Because it's not all about I love to catch fish, don't get me wrong. Like, that's why I hate when people say it's not about catching fish.
Well, you're going out to do something.
It's not about catching fish, but it is. Like, otherwise you'd be doing something else.
Yeah.
You know, I still love to catch fish, but it isn't about all catching. You know, it's the experience, the people around you. But I definitely want to fish with new people, to get to know them, one, as people, and to two, elevate my game. You know, enjoy the experience, enjoy the community more. Fly fishing is a great community, and fishing in general is a great community. You know, of course, there's bad eggs with anything. But it's a great community, and, you know, I think each person has something else. Like, I love fishing with Cody. I think he's super funny. You know, I fish with Rich, Dan, Tracy, and, you know, some of my newer teammates. Hopefully, I'll be fishing with them more. Some other teams I fish with them too, which they're all great. That's one thing I love about comps is the guys. I don't think there's really right now a bad person in the comp. It's a great atmosphere to be around. Everyone's willing to help you out, and I think especially you, this being your first season, I don't know how many you're going to fish, but you're going to get at least three. Well, you're going to learn something at each one, and I guarantee if you talk to somebody, be like, hey, like blah blah blah, like, you know, what do you think about this? I guarantee they'll help you.
At first, I was pretty skeptical to go into that because I am very patient, and that tends to lead to me not catching as many fish.
Yeah.
And I probably would get halfway through a beat and not have fished the whole thing and only fish half of it. And probably I was worried I was going to get made fun of or anything for not catching any fish or anything like that. But I went to the one comp you did, and it was very relaxed, and everybody seemed
very relaxed,
very nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's times where it gets cutthroat, but
but not. It is a competition.
I'm a competitive person, but like when it comes to fishing, I'm more in it just to enjoy it. I love catching fish, and like I love catching. I would rather spend all day trying to catch one big fish than a bunch of fish, but don't get me wrong, I love catching a bunch of fish.
Yeah. Well, like anything, like we're competitors, and, you know, growing up, you know, we did track and field and all that stuff, and, you know, I'd still, like, even Rich is on my team, he's in the beat below me, I want to catch way more fish than Rich. Screw Rich! I want to catch more fish than Rich, even though he's on my team. But, you know, afterwards, he catches more fish than me, or I catch more. We're not going to be mad at each other. It's always a good job. You know, and we talk, you know, what worked for you, what didn't work. And that's how everyone gets better.
Well, even when you have your controllers, if they're very knowledgeable and stuff, they'll help you, they'll calm you down, and that's my big thing. Is I guarantee first comp I get, first time I do it, I'm going to get frustrated.
Yeah.
And hopefully the person that's controlling me will be able to calm me down a little bit.
Well, and I think I got frustrated my first one. Dad was there. I was getting
he was getting
frustrated.
He was up in the trees, and I just kept telling him. I said, "You got to quit." You know, he was trying to hurry, and then he was you know, he's tall and the rod's long, and like I said, look, you're spending more time tying stuff on in the trees. If you slow down and you know, short, you know, instead of setting the hook a full arm's length, just do a half. Because the other guy, if you watch the other guy, he was doing a short, you know, and his fly was in the water more than it was out. So if you can't catch a fish if the fly's not in the water, and just the way he cast, he knew there was obstacles and stuff, and he ended up falling down or something. He was funny.
That was Cody. That was the first time we met Cody.
And he fell down, and he was just going up through there, and then finally he said, "I'm done," and he went swimming, and then he got out. And it was like,
that was the first time I met Cody. That was fun.
Yeah, and he literally jumped in the water and went swimming. But if you watch these people, and you talk to the people, you learn stuff, and then you just have to apply it to your own technique. You're not going to do it the same way. You just have to learn something from each one of them and then figure out the obstacles.
The way I look at it is, even if I come in last, I got nothing to lose. It's just hanging out with a bunch of people.
Exactly, and that's
there you go. Get to go catch fish.
That's the best part. Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is when you think about comps, it's not really about catching fish because you think you drive all that way. So I fish a 2-day comp. Mm-hmm. I usually get there Friday pre-fish, and that's usually where you catch most of your fish, probably pre-fishing, depending on where you get to pre-fish. But you only get to fish. You got to think 2-day comp. You only get to fish 8 hours total, which is not a lot if you're fishing for 2 days. Yep. Mm-hmm. But you get to control, and it is the atmosphere and hanging out with a bunch of guys that have the same passion as you, which is great. Mm-hmm. But so those are my goals. I know your goals kind of goes along with the same thing with comp, which is what?
My first goal was to finish above last in one comp, at least one comp.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to do at least 3 comps this year. 4 or 5 would be ideal. But I don't know if I'll be able to get to that many or not if I get in grad school or such. Yeah. But the goal is 3. I definitely want to fish the Clarion. I want to do that one. Even though that's a later one, isn't it?
That's in August.
That's in August,
yeah, hopefully. I think Rich put out the date for that. Yeah.
And then I'd like to do the one you won there.
Yeah.
And then a couple more from that. But the next one is I'd like to also try and fill my fly box and get better at tying. I'm good at some patterns, not good at others.
Well, that's just repetition.
Yeah, I need to do a lot of tying and get my box filled up and know what to use when and have a different variety of stuff. I usually mooch flies off of him eventually is usually what happens. I have a decent amount of flies, but it's never the one that's catching fish, unfortunately.
Or he didn't have the right weight yesterday.
Yeah.
Hand him my fly rod. He's fishing my weight. Second cast, snags a tree. He hands me the rod. Hold this. So I'm standing there holding this so we can walk in and get my flies later while he's fishing with his rod.
And then I go in to get it, and it gets too deep, and I just...
And then I had to go... He snapped it, and then I had to go in and get it from the tree because I wanted him back.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
So those are your goals.
The last goal is I want to try and catch a fish over 20 inches. That's
over 20.
My goal going to be until I get it.
Oh, I also want one on a mouse.
Same.
I want one on a mouse. You know, it's something we didn't actually catch one.
And a streamer. I want one on a streamer.
I've done the streamer, but I want one on a mouse. What are your goals, Dan?
Well, I'd like to catch a muskie on a fly. I also like to go smallmouth bass fishing with a fly, whether it's a stream or maybe one of the harbors. There's a couple spots because it's just something that we haven't tried. It's probably going to be tough. Probably arm's going to get sore.
Well, yeah.
But I think that would be fun. I would like to catch a monster brown.
Oh yeah.
Or at least, I mean, everybody wants to catch a giant fish, but the nice thing about going downstate is, and you don't catch a lot of fish, but the ones you do catch are
quality.
There's always that option of you're going to catch the biggest fish.
And even if they're not huge, I think the fight on those. I mean, you can catch a 15 or 16 inch fish, and it fights like a 20 inch steelhead.
Well, you had a couple that long fights.
Well, yeah, especially the rainbows.
Well, that on the last day, we got these pictures in the book, but on that last day, that one you have on your
under the undercut,
and you said, oh, it's not that big, and I looked at it, and number one, the colors, the emerald green and the peanut butter and the butter belly, it came out, and I was like, that thing is huge, but then it proceeded to fight. I mean, at first it didn't fight, and then and that took you down there probably, 60 yards?
Well, I was fortunate because we had him in probably less than 6 inches of water for most of that fight.
But he was going. I mean, the environment they live in, but just the fight. I mean, we catch... I mean, I think I told you guys earlier, I think I caught 22 browns, stockers in a pond. Mm-hmm. And then the hit was good because they come up and they smack it and they turn and go the other way. But... they don't fight. I mean, they shake their head, and after 2 or 3 shakes, you reel them in and you throw them back, and it's like, yeah, that was fun. But to catch a brown in the Delaware, it's like, wow. The one I caught, I think it did 6 somersaults.
Yeah, it kept doing.
And I was like, I got a barbless hook, and I'm like, yeah, it's coming off. It's just coming, and then when it went in the net, I was like, whew, and I was sweating.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that wasn't a big fish. I mean, was it 14 or 15?
It was a nice fish.
It was decent colors and all that, but the thing just fought like.
That's another big difference with that stream than the ones around here. Like, the ones around here, you hook them, and you're like, I'm probably going to bring this one to the net.
Not for me, man.
For the most part, if I get a good hook set on them, and I can most of the time bring them to the net. But the Delaware, there's always the every second of that fight, I'm like, oh man, he's getting off.
Yeah,
he's getting off. And then when you finally net him, there's just so much relief because you're stressed the entire time that you're going to lose these big fish.
Well, and so the one rainbow you caught, because you fished Thursday.
Yeah.
We showed up Friday,
Yep.
and you caught a rainbow that was maybe 14, 15.
Yeah.
And it took you 10 minutes to land it. And I kept trying to net it, and the thing just, rainbows are tough anyway, but a 14-inch rainbow on a rod, a 10-foot rod, you should be able to bring it in. And that thing was going to town.
I was using 11 at that point.
And literally, it took that long to catch it. And when it was in the net, it was still freaking out. Yeah. And it's like, wow.
Healthy fish.
They just.
Oh, for sure. Very healthy fish.
So, I mean, they're wild, and they're, they got some spunk. So, that's fun. So one fish there,
it's a cheap. Those are selective fish.
Yeah,
those are tough to catch.
You earn. So it's like somebody said, a bachelor's degree is you go to the CAT. A master's degree is you maybe go someplace wild, but a PhD is you go to the Delaware and you catch one fish. You go catch.
It's not a numbers game when you're there. It's just,
no,
I mean we did well.
We fished 3 days. I think I fished 3 days and I caught one fish, and I was happy.
We've never done bad there. We've always done decent.
But it's how you judge it. We always judge it on because you always catch, like even that one fish you caught is quality.
Yeah,
it's a quality fish.
Somebody asked me, somebody at work asked me, well, how many fish did you catch? I says one, and they're like, you wasted all that time. But I mean, you look where you're fishing. There's mountains. There's beavers. There's you name it.
Jeez, the beaver. You still haven't seen the beaver. Dad, I ran those beavers the one year.
I think the beaver was 60 pounds, and he's standing there looking at me, and he goes, "Why are you standing there?" I said, "Because we're standing on his lodge, and there's a beaver right there." And the female was out in the water, and he was mad. I mean, he was, doing this with his teeth. He was chatting his teeth, and I was like, "He's just going to bite me, or I'm going to hit him with the rod because he's going to attack me." And then he turned around and went away. But I couldn't believe. I mean, I've seen beavers before in Colorado and smaller ones around here. But the thing was like giant, and and that was a beaver kill.
Yeah.
Or the Willow-Wemac.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, it's also nice because it gives us a good taste of pretty smart fish. One, good quality fish, and it allows us to deal with other people. Because there's a lot of people that fish there, but we've always been able to find places where not a lot of people go.
Where their fish aren't pressured. Which we're fortunate to have that and to still have some of those spots left.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But yeah, where they're not as pressured, a little easier to catch.
Yeah.
Those fish are hard to catch. They definitely, you earn them. Like,
you're not just
your drift's got to be perfect. You got to
fly
fly on.
I mean, there's always the day where they're eating just everything, and you're going to do well. But like it was tough, and I think we did really well. We always have.
That's my other goal is to go there and catch one on a dry fly.
Dry fly. I wanted, as much as I hate dry flies, I want to do that too.
Because that's one thing we didn't get to do because the flows were high and the bug hatch was over.
Yeah.
And so one evening we just go out there and spend 2 hours. And
I actually caught first time in a long time that I've caught a fish on dry fly. I caught one on the one you won the comp on.
Yeah.
There, 9 mile, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I caught fish on dries. I fished a dry dropper practice for the one I caught, and even on that trip I caught one on dry. But yeah, no, but it's a good year. I definitely want to catch a muskie on fly too. I think smallmouth, because I'm now getting more into lakes as I practice for these comps and stuff. I think it's doable. It's just you gotta get the right sinking line.
Yeah.
And just. I don't even think the fly is going to matter. I think you put a white streamer through there.
In the spring when they're spawning, I think if you put something on there, they're going to attack. They think
you
it's
get
a
something with a little bit of shine that looks kind of like a minnow.
Yeah.
I think you pull it through there, they're going to hit it
with a weighted line. It's all you're going to be able to, I think it's I'm no expert, but my guess is it's going to be about a weighted line, like the weight.
Well,
of the line.
medium density fly, so it's in the water column.
Well, you want to match the fly to the line,
and then either they're going to smash it because they think it's a minnow, or they're going to be territorial and they're just going to smack it to get it out of their way.
Well, if you think about it, nobody else in the places that we fish for smallmouth is fishing with a fly rod. So you actually might do better with a fly rod.
There's a one guy I follow that does that.
Yeah, there's a couple
not
of
in
people.
the harbor.
Yeah, he goes way out there.
But
I think that's a doable goal though.
But everybody's bass fishing there, and they're pulling like just little
spoons
and rapalas and stuff like that. I think maybe a fly might actually.
If you catch it on the right day, you'd probably land 20 fish, and I mean your arm would be sore.
One on a fly rod's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah,
it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, you're gonna have to use a steelhead rod. So.
Yeah, but I mean that's all I got. It was a great year. Looking forward to 2019. Garrett and I actually got our first trout off the board yesterday. My dad did, unfortunately. We rubbed it in a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Somebody had to work to pay for the gas to go fishing.
Yeah, but so we got the first ones off the board, which is great. I'm excited for the rest of the year. Look for more of these podcasts, more of these videos. This is something I want to do. I want to sit down, hopefully with you guys again, and with some other people. I definitely want to have Cody on. Some of those. I think it'll be fun. I think he'll be.
I got to be there for that one.
I think he'll be fun to have on, and I think I talked to Dan. I think he might want to come on, and some other things. But I'm looking forward to doing this. I think this was a lot of fun. So kind of reminisce on the year. I don't always want to reminisce. I want to talk about other things, but hopefully we'll do this again in a year, and we'll have
another one.
Maybe I'll get on the.
Maybe you'll get the cover. Doubtful, but
we'll see how 2019 goes.
Yeah, we'll see how 2019. And I'm looking forward to this next year. Definitely.
Oh, I do have one more goal for 2019. I would like to fish another state other than New York.
We fished PA last year.
I know, but
for a day.
Once.
Yeah, we'll get you down there. But yeah, been great. I hope you enjoy the listen. If you do, leave a comment. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, if you have any questions or, feedback about the podcast, how we can make this better, and whatnot. So yeah, thanks.